secret footballers, I'm assuming that everyone's come across and heard the books, the series around the secret footballers before. I'm going to present something a little bit different to you around the secret footballers. Last year, this year, I'm sure you're well aware, we've had two World Cups, the Men's World Cup last year in 2018, and the Women's World Cup in France earlier this year. And I'm sure that you've looked at it and thought, what a fantastic group of athletes taking part within competition. They're the ones that we're aspiring young boys and young girls to try and get to in terms of their footballing journey. However, this is just the pinnacle of one version of the game. The secret footballers that I'm going to be talking to you about exist within amongst us, here, in sports halls, in community groups, and on park pitches right the way around the country. And what I'm going to present to you is just a little snapshot of some of the work that I and my colleagues are currently involved with, and hopefully bring some of these secret footballers into the wider public awareness. These footballers live in the shadows. They work, they live, they study, they train as hard as any other athlete that you will come across, in some cases even more so. And they try to balance off family life and public commitments with their private lives, because they have to go out and they have to earn livings, to pay for mortgages, pay for cars, pay for their families. And the time that we get with them is really, really limited. But they'll be in amongst every single environment that we are all involved in. And they may be closer to you than you think. Just to give you a little bit of context around the para or disability sport world, the latest information from Sport England demonstrates that in terms of footballing figures specifically, there's been a drop in terms of participation. Now, I'm sure that many of you are aware around the London legacy of inspiring a generation. Now, for football, that may or may not be true. We've been very blessed in recent years around having a huge investment coming into us through all sorts of different avenues. But in terms of para-football, disability football at a grassroots level, it is the 7th most highly participated team sport in the country, above the likes of more mainstream sports such as rugby league. So there is a population out there that you may not even realise is actually taking part. And that's just solely within disability football. We've got over 2,000 grassroots teams now affiliated with their local county FAs. But that doesn't take into account those footballers that are taking part within non-disability environments. If you look at academic research, I'm starting to get a little bit more involved in this myself through my own personal studies. But the evidence suggests to us that still we have this issue around trying to engage people to understand what parasport actually is and what it looks like. The Paralympics in London were fantastic for giving a platform to raise awareness from. And Rio did something similar. The challenge is, how do you keep that momentum going throughout? Because what disabled athletes want, and at the elite level, what para-athletes want, is they just want to be recognised for who they are, an athlete, with their impairment as secondary consideration. And this is one of the big challenges that we have working within the parasport world. It's all done in secret. I'm going to give you a story, a very brief story around this chap on screen now. And this is James Blackwell. James came and joined us 5 years ago with our cerebral palsy squad. He plays mainstream football. He's employed in a very well-paid industry. He's got 2 young children. He broke his neck 2 years ago as a result of playing with us, ironically. But he didn't tell the one person in his life who possibly is the most important one to him that he had cerebral palsy until a week before their wedding. He was terrified that if he came out in public to say that I had cerebral palsy, that he would be stigmatised for who he is and not anything other than that. James has gone on to represent England at multiple international tournaments. The first one I had with him was back in 2014, and he's gone on to represent Great Britain at the Rio Paralympic Games as well. But he is a secret footballer. His teammates didn't know that he had cerebral palsy. He used to hide the fact that he had a slight stiffness in his hand and in his arm by just claiming that he broke his thumb when he was younger. He was afraid to admit who he was. And these are the kind of athletes, and it links in a little bit with what was said earlier on around the social and the psychological elements. These are massive things for us when we're working with our athletes. How do we start to get them to recognise and understand that it's okay to be who they are, and that there is an opportunity for you to be able to go on and play for England? Hoping there's going to be no sound on this. It's going to be... Don't worry about the sound, right. The idea here is just to give you an idea of the number of formats that we work across. We have amputee football, played in front of 40,000 people in Turkey, the last major championships. You've got power chair football, which is a 4v4 format. You've got partially sighted who play futsal, which is the one I'm involved with at the moment. You've got blind football. And then the last one that's shown on there is the CP squad from when they played in the World Championships in the summer just gone. For us, the major challenge is actually how do we go about working with such a diverse group of people who have such differing needs and inspire them to be able to play at the highest level. 72% of all those who play within our England pathway are in mainstream environments and not disability settings. And the majority of those come from either the power chair or the blind games because there's such different adaptations in terms of the game formats. Linking it back into what Ben was saying earlier, this is a piece of work that I in particular am looking to try and study moving forward with my own academic career. It's about working out what works best for who in what context and why. And the final thing I'm going to ask you is, do you know who these three individuals are? If I were to tell you that they are the current highest in terms of England caps, England goals, and the last captain to win a competition for a senior squad, these are our secret footballers. And hopefully, you're a little bit more aware of who they are, and ultimately, those secret footballers in amongst us now will get the recognition that hopefully they all deserve. Thank you.